What's up, everybody? This is your boy TL. This is your Week 13 fantasy football preview. Week 13, man, time's flying. Um, for some leagues, Week 13 is the last week of the regular season. Other leagues, Week 14 is. So we should be wrapping up. Hopefully, you have the playoffs to look forward to. This week that just passed, I went 6-3 or 7-2, one of those two. So a pretty good week for me. I lost in arguably my biggest game I needed. There is two leagues that I'm 6-6 in, and the best I'm doing is 11-1 in one league. So I don't have a losing record in any league. The league that I care the most about, my league, I'm 6-6 in 8th place. The top 6 go to the playoffs. So I need to not only win, but have a couple other things go my way to sneak into the playoff spot in this week. So with that being said, let's get into it. Week 13, I have 4 defenses, 7 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 14 wide receivers, and 5 tight ends that I recommend picking up if you're desperate or there's there's injuries and stuff. The defenses that I like this week are Cleveland, Dallas, New England, and Jacksonville. Jacksonville's that's if you're a risk taker or if you're really desperate. I feel like Brandon Weeden at quarterback for Cleveland is pretty much a +10 for any defense, unfortunately. So Jacksonville's defense isn't that bad, so you can pick them up if you're desperate. Moving on to quarterbacks. The 7 quarterbacks that I like from what I've seen recently is Glenn from the Bucks, Flynn from Green Bay, Philip Rivers, obviously. He had another great week. Alex Smith, who I suggested last week, McCown from the Bears, Fitzpatrick from the Titans, and Carson Palmer. Now, with that being said, Glennon has, I'll tell you what, man, he surprised me. Every week he's put solid performances, together each week, and he hasn't really fallen off, so I'm impressed. Flynn, he looked pretty good when he came in for Tolzien last week, and if he starts on Thanksgiving, he's a decent start against the Lions. Philip Rivers is on fire. I think he threw 3 touchdowns, no picks, came from behind and beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, which is very impressive. Alex Smith has had 2 good fantasy weeks in a row now. I feel like Andy Reid is kind of opening the playbook and because he realizes they have to score more points to win games. They can't score in the 20s and expect to win every week. McCown has played pretty solid backup play for Cutler. He's playing on, I think he's Sunday. Fitzpatrick actually had a pretty good game for the Titans. He's shown a little bit of what he used to show in Buffalo, so he's not a bad play either. They came from behind to beat the Raiders at the end. And Carson Palmer had another good week. You guys know I don't believe in Carson Palmer, but if you do, have at it. Moving on to running backs. There's only 5 running backs this week, and only 3 of them I really feel confident about. Those 5 are Pierre Thomas, Cunningham from St. Louis, Dennis Johnson from the Texans, Andre Brown from the Giants, and Shane Vereen from the Patriots. I put a stars by Pierre Thomas and Cunningham from the Rams. The reason for that is Pierre Thomas, you could argue that his output this week was based on the fact that Sproles was out. So if Sproles most likely will be back Monday night, you could make the argument that Pierre Thomas will get less touches. Cunningham came in relief for Zach Stacy, who got hurt and ran amok. He had like 13 carries for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Very impressive, obviously, yards per carry. But they have him as questionable on the injury report right now, so I'm not really sure if he's healthy. So keep that in mind. Dennis Johnson came in for Ben Tate, who's banged up. He has 4 broken ribs. Ran pretty well. He had about 75 yards on not that many carries. So if Ben Tate goes out for the game, or he splits carries with Dennis Johnson, Dennis Johnson showed that he can run pretty effectively. Andre Brown has ran pretty solid for the Giants ever since he came back. That shouldn't change. And Shane Vereen has been a pleasant surprise. He's between rushing and receiving, he gets his piece of the pie every week. Moving on to wide receivers, 14 wide receivers. I apologize for the quantity, but there's just a lot of receivers that impressed me this week. That list goes as such. Harry Douglas, Burleson, he plays for the Lions, Patterson from the Vikings, Keenan Allen from the Chargers, McCluster from the Chiefs, Ted Ginn, Jacoby Jones, Shorts from Jacksonville, Hunter and Kendall Wright, both from Tennessee, Rod Streeter from the Raiders, Michael Floyd from the Cardinals, Julian Edelman from the Patriots, and Mario Manningham from the 49ers. The only person I had a star for on this list is Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns this week, which is very impressively, obviously. But a lot of that reason was because they were, paying more attention to Amendola. So can he do that every week? Probably not. I feel like he pretty much just exposed the mismatches, and it's kind of a coin toss between him and Amendola who's going to get the looks. Moving on to the top of the list, Terry Douglas has continued to ball out every week ever since Julio Jones went down. Nate Burleson had 10 targets for the Lions, which is pretty respectable opposite Megatron. Cordarrelle Patterson for the Vikings had 11 targets, which is a lot. I feel like they're trying to incorporate him into the game plan, which is good. He's a playmaker. Keenan Allen continues to produce. Very impressive rookie. He's the go-to guy for Phillip Rivers, and as I said, Phillip Rivers is on fire. McCluster had a decent amount of targets as well for the Chiefs, so I feel like the more Alex Smith throws, he's going to be throwing to Bo and McCluster. Ted Ginn had 10 targets for Carolina, which is respectable. Jacoby Jones had about 100 yards and a touchdown. So I feel like he's fully healthy, and Flacco will continue to throw to him, opposite of Torrey Smith, obviously. Cecil Shorts from Jacksonville had 11 targets last week. He's on a bad team that's going to throw a lot, and I feel like he's their number one target. Justin Hunter and Kendall Wright have had good stats this last week, and I think that'll go the same forward. I think Fitzpatrick has confidence in both those guys. Justin Hunter has great size to make plays, and so I look to that for that to continue. Rod Streeter, you know how he is. He's hit and miss every other week. He'll have a good game and score. So it's kind of play at your own risk. Michael Floyd had another good game. He kind of seems like he's turning the corner for the Cardinals. So that's kind of exciting. And last but not least, Mario Manningham. Mario Manningham's been out for a while. He came back. He made a handful of catches for the 49ers and looked pretty solid picking up first downs. Moving on to tight ends. Last but not least, there's 5 tight ends that I recommend. Carlson from the Vikings. Jared Cook from the Rams. Graham, Delaney Walker, and Fleener. I'm going to say Carlson only because the Bears' defense gives up a lot of yards to tight ends. I'm pretty sure Kyle Rudolph's still out, so I think Carlson will get those looks. Jared Cook had a good week. He had about 80 yards and a touchdown. I look for that to continue. Delaney Walker had 9 targets this week, so they have a lot of confidence in him as well. And last but not, Coby Fleener had another good game. He had, I think, the only touchdown they had, and he continues to produce after Reggie Wayne went out. That's all I got this week, guys. I wish you the best of luck. For me, this is a big week in fantasy, week 13. I wish you the best of luck. I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.